So, as of 2012, at least 2 states have considered legislation to make it illegal to photograph children without parental permission. Georgia passed a bill in 2010 that makes it illegal for anyone but a parent to photograph or videotape a child. But the law may be
parent.
Yeah, anyone but a parent.
So grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles.
So that photograph
brothers,
from
sisters?
space, if there's a child somewhere in that photograph that happens to be in Georgia at the
Yes.
time,
There's bound to be a kid out of their house in Georgia. Yeah, during that picture.
So apparently the law, though, and here's where it gets interesting. That law, because it's clearly unconstitutional, that law may be revised to specifically address registered sex offenders. So now they may change that law to only be sex offenders. And that, well, I think it's awful. I still think that that's awful. I think it's more close to rational and reasonable.
I would agree. I'm trying to figure out what I think. One of the things that, being an ex-con myself, I spent 8.5 years in prison for a murder charge, and I didn't kill anybody. But one of the things that I sort of experienced when I was looking for what do I want to do when I grow up, right? Like, I went to prison at 18 years old. I had worked at a comic book store my entire life. I sort of had to figure out what direction is my life going to take when I get out. One of the things we got was this long list, mimeographed copy. Maybe it was mimeographed. Maybe it was poorly photocopied. Anyway, a copy of like all the state licenses you can't have as a convicted felon, right? Like somehow, and this isn't legal advice, but I think that florist was on there. Somehow or another, I can't own a florist shop. I can work at a florist shop, but I can't own it because, well, I've had a felony conviction, or the variety of things.
Felons can't sell flowers.
Dentists, you can't be a. I think that might, I would have to check, but I recall that being on the list at the time, But I know dentist was on there, a mortician, a variety of professions, and people have to have professions, right? You have to do something. What are you relegating people to? And if you relegate them to a bad life, what reason do they have to stay straight?
I want to know what the reasoning is behind a felon not being able to open a flower shop.
Well, it's just because it's easy to pass laws against.
It's easy to pass laws against felons, but there still normally is some kind of convoluted rationality behind why they pass such a law. I can understand maybe the mortician law, something about dead people, who knows? But flower shop? What? Because and I'm only thinking I'm thinking along the lines of two things. My movie brain, because it's like all I can guess with this stuff is from what I've seen in movies. So I'm thinking that somehow like a mafia connected person or something like that might, if they're a mortician, maybe they're able to use their connections from prison to dispose of bodies, and you don't want that to happen. Maybe with the flower shop, it's because people are always selling weapons concealed in flower boxes, or something like that. What's the convoluted rationality? I can't figure it out.
Well, licenses are about exclusion, right? Like, what good is your license if you let anybody have one? So, who are the easiest people to exclude? Felons are.
Right.
So there you go. I mean, that's what, best thing I've got.
Right.
So I don't know whether that's still the case in the state of Florida or not. I would hope not, but Charlie Crist at one point was sort of changing some things for felons. Yeah. Rand Paul's doing a lot right now to make it so that felons can vote and re-enter society in different ways.
Well, hopefully more states go in the good direction, but like this Georgia who's kind of going in the wrong direction, maybe backing off of it. Apparently New Jersey is also trying to do the same thing as Georgia, and not. Again, just ban all photography or videography of children entirely without parental consent, which is, again, it's just going to be shut down if they do that.
Yeah, I just wonder, I can see why people would be upset if this, sort of poorly washed male individual, because these are the stereotypes we're given, right?
Right.
These are, this is the guy. Right. If this the guy that looks like a child predator, he is, and of course it's a he. It's not.
Don't forget,
a
lot of the time it is a woman though, because it's there's a very famous photographer, and I'm feeling remiss that I can't remember her name, who she took pictures of children in bathtubs and stuff like that, and it was like she was an art photographer, and
she's the one that takes all the pictures of the babies.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what her name is either, but but I suppose that speaks well of me that I can't remember baby photography.
Right.
Artist.
Maybe Lang, Dorothea Lang. No,
I
don't
have
know.
no clue.
No, I don't think that was it.
But I mean, when it comes to these situations, you're talking about what people are worried about is they're not worried about sort of people making art pictures of their kids on the playground.
Sally Mann.
Okay. What they're worried about is the child predator staking out the playground, or perhaps taking pictures that they then, imagine naughty things with later or whatever.
Right.
It's one of those two situations. And there's been situations in this country where parents, mostly I assume women, have circled up on people taking pictures in a park.
Well, let me break it down. This is the last sort of paragraph of this article, and it really kind of lays it out. So it says other laws may apply. Some other state and federal laws might apply if anyone photographs or films your child without your knowledge or permission. Your child has the same right to privacy as an adult does. No one can photograph or film your child in a location where he believes he's alone, even if he's alone with his friends. For example, if he's in a sandbox at a public park, a photographer can take his picture. If he's in a sandbox fenced in your backyard, the photographer would be violating your child's right to privacy as well as your own.
855-453-733. You can give us a call and...
So in that last segment, I poorly tried to rush through this, I think, what are the most important point of this article here, which is from lawyers.com about the changing legal situation regards to children's photography and videography. So some other state and federal laws might apply if anyone photographs or films your child without your knowledge or permission. Your child has the same right to privacy as an adult does. So again, these laws are very similar to the laws that are in regards to adults. No one can photograph or film your child in a location where he believes he's alone, even if he's alone with his friends. For example, if he's in a sandbox at a public park, a photographer can take his picture.
At a public park.
Even without your permission. Now, if he's in a sandbox in your fenced-in backyard, the photographer would be violating your child's right to privacy as well as your own. You can use that to stop distribution of the photograph because the photographer's action is a tort or a behavior that justifies a lawsuit. You might also have a claim for trespassing. So this article suggests, again, this is not legal advice coming from us. We're reading lawyers.com here. So if you have more questions about this, the law surrounding children is complicated. Plus, the facts of each case are unique. So this article provides a general, brief introduction to the topic, and for more detailed, specific information, you would want to contact a children's rights lawyer. So, I mean, there it is. I mean, it's basically the same exact thing with photography and videography of children. It's the same exact thing as adults. If you're in public, you don't have an expectation of privacy, stop it. Stop saying that people can't photograph or videograph you. You're wrong.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.